Do people perceive sound differently in different countries? Well, that's a good question, and it comes from Pascal in Saint-Jean, France. I'm sure I'm butchering that. My French is terrible. I remember as a young man in the 1970s that we said that American hi-fi has a sound all of its own, and it's quite different to British-made hi-fi, which has a much warmer sound. The main reason put forward by me and my friends was the cultural and linguistic diversity. Is your opinion the same? Do you think that people perceive sounds in a different way from one country to another? And if that fact is true, how to satisfy everybody? Regards, Pascal. Wow. Well, I guess that's bordering on philosophical, isn't it? In a way, one of the things that I have become aware of that I find fascinating is audio and sound and music are learned skills. So they've shown that children, the unborn in the womb, respond to music, and they've shown that kids and youngsters of all kinds definitely respond to music. But in the same way that we learn to perceive 3 dimensions on a 2-dimensional page. I don't know if you've ever seen experiments like that, but you can look them up on the internet. There's a couple of great experiments with, like those Escher drawings or those kind of drawings that imply a 3-dimensional aspect to it, but in reality, they're 2-dimensional drawings. Our brains at first don't see those as 3-dimensional. We don't really get it. It takes training and learning within a culture over time for our brains to adapt and see that. I think they had some guy they pulled out of the bush or something that I'd never seen. He was, 20, 30 years old, never seen drawings. And he simply could not see the big and the small and the relationship like a tunnel or whatever the drawing was. Couldn't see it. I mean, he had to actually learn that and adapt his brain to it. And I think that music is similar. I recall studies that the Asian cultures and their tonal-based music relative to Western music are very different, and what they find good and what we find good can be very, very different. Not that you can't, over time, learn to love Asian types of music and vice versa, because, many of my friends in Asia, love Western music, but they still listen to a lot of Asian music, and every time I hear it, I think it's interesting, but it doesn't resonate with me. Going back to the British versus the Americans, I've been aware for years that the Brits they're not big on bass, not as much as Americans are, and they like their sound and their imaging a bit different than we do over here in the States. So yeah, I think there are cultural biases, both learned and just assimilated by being in the culture, to how we listen to music, which is interesting because when we go to live music venues, whether they be in Covent Gardens in England or the Pepsi Center here in Denver, aside from the hall differences, live music is live music. If I go, there's these great little concerts that we go to on occasion where they'll be at someone's home and they're playing piano. A piano sounds the same in Budapest, Hong Kong, or Boulder, Colorado. So on the one hand, live music would suggest that we don't really have any differences because it just is what it is. But when it comes to reproduction of that music within the home, somehow we develop these biases that I have never quite understood, but I am aware, that they're there and they're real. So I don't have a great answer to how we get on the same page, as it were, other than all of us going to more and more live venues. And I would encourage everybody that watches, I've noticed if I eat my grapefruits in the morning, I have to clear my throat more often. And I read somewhere that that was a cause of like, what is the crap in your stomach? Some kind of acid reflux or whatever, comes up, and then I have to clear my throat. And usually I do these in the morning. And I got to tell you, when the pomelo season, when winter comes around, and pomelos, my absolute favorite grapefruit. They're these big things. Trader Joe's has small ones, small pomelos without a lot of rind, and they're $1.50 a piece. And Terry goes nuts because I go down and I pick a big bag of them, fill our fridge up, and every morning I have my pomelo. And when pomelo season is over, I'm done with the grapefruits. And then my voice comes back to normal. Go figure. But if we can manage to see more live venues, more live music, nothing is better than that. And it's good for our health, it's good for our community, it's good for the musicians who we pay and who we pay homage to. And there's everything great about live music, and that would be a way to get us more all in tuned with what we should have at home, because the ultimate goal that we're all looking for is to reproduce the sound of live music within our homes. And if we all have the same idea of what it sounds like, then we should have some kind of similarity in what we appreciate in our equipment. Best I got. All right. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.